Hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV. I'm Aldwyn Altuney here with the amazing John Dwyer, Mr. JD himself. He is the founder of the Institute of Wow. A little bit about Mr. JD before we start to chat about wow factor marketing today. Now, John is one of the world's leading marketing experts, and his ideas are actually responsible for over $15 billion in extra sales for businesses. His incredibly successful client attraction system works across all types of businesses and any industry, so B2B, B2C, and Jerry Seinfeld, some of you may know, has worked with Mr. JD here. In fact, John scored a massive marketing coup by convincing Jerry Seinfeld to be a spokesperson for a small Australian bank, a campaign that actually resulted in the bank tripling its home loan market share within just 24 months. And so much more we're going to share. Welcome, JD.
I want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
He sounds pretty interesting. Yeah. Isn't it funny how with all the bio build-ups and it's sort of like when you do testimonials, no one ever has a bad testimonial on their website where someone goes, oh, look, I bought that product, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And the bios are always a big build-up like that. So there's only one way to go. It's down, all right?
Yeah. Oh, I love your work, JD. And we actually spoke on a stage together about 10 years ago now with inspiring events. And I love your work. I've been a great admirer of your work for years. And you do continually wow people with what you do. And in fact, you have a huge book right here. And I think we should mention the elephant in the room.
It's funny, I just touched that. And I didn't mean you to throw to it. It was just that I was brushing something off it. It was probably a coffee stain, but now you brought it up. Yeah. The reason I'm showing off about this is because when you got into the seminar circuit, you were told, as I was told, well, you got to write a book. And I went, write a book. Okay. And they said, well, what would your book be about? I said, well, I guess something wow. And then I was sitting down one day and a mate of mine, Glenn Walford, said to me, look, if you're going to write a book, why don't you be a complete idiot and just make it tabloid size? And I thought, that's a good idea. Yeah. So I've got the small one here. Of course, everyone's got a small book, so therefore that's your little $29.95 one. But this one here was just ridiculous. So it's the size of a tabloid newspaper, and in it, if I can just hold it up there, in it are pretty much all of the winning case studies of wow factor marketing stuff over the past 15 or 20 years. I neglected to put the ones that didn't work in. I left the failures in the filing cabinet. And Aldwyn was just asking me about this and said, look, what's the damage for that? I said, look, it costs $400 to print. And thank goodness, of course, in the digital age that we're in these days, I've turned it into a digital product. But it's called the Wow Manifesto, and it's case study after case study of winning wow factor marketing.
I love it.
And as I said, I lifted up the ones that didn't work.
I love it. So for those who don't know you, and if they don't, well, where have you been? If they don't know you, can you share a bit of your history of how you actually got into marketing?
Yeah, sure. Look, I went to school, left school at year 12 like everyone does, and I decided to do the advertising, advertising certificate or diploma, whatever you call it, at university. And when I came out of that, I was lucky enough to get a job at a shopping centre in Sydney called Roselands, which is like a Westfield, but it was the first of the Westfields, I guess, or first of that style big shopping centre. And they had a big budget, which allowed an idiot like me to be able to go crazy, which was just silly of them. Here is this guy in his early 20s had this huge budget. And so therefore we did all sorts of stuff. We had Muhammad Ali on stage in the shopping centre, and in the day, back in those days, the big stars were people like Max Bygraves, and there was a whole lot of these big stars that would come out to Australia. Yes. And they'd be on a daytime show called the Mike Walsh Show, and then we'd get them and put them on stage at Roseland Shopping Centre. And I got a bit of a high out of, being able to put all this stuff on and see all these people come in. And I guess really from there, I thought to myself, this wow factor stuff has got some appeal to it. Like there was a show on the TV at the time called The Young Doctors, and it was a little bit like, I guess, Home and Away is now. And we actually replicated the wedding of the two big stars on that TV show on the stage in the shopping centre. Guess what?
Wow.
Every high school closed down that afternoon, particularly the girls. They all came to see this marriage in the shopping centre, and there was 20,000 people in the shopping. And I thought to myself, how do you make a career out of this? and use your own money. And of course, I was using someone else's money. So, cut long story short, I set up my own business in my 20s, and it was called, Dynamic Ideas. In fact, it was called Dynamic Ideas Company, and the acronym for that was not really good, DIC. So I moved on from that. And we ended up doing a lot of stuff for the big sort of multinationals. So I did all the scratch bingos for News Limited. I did all of the drive-through promotions for the fast food chains, so the McDonald's and the KFCs and stuff. And as a result of, I guess, having some success with that, we decided to move into setting up a business that provided what we call direct response marketing tactics. And what we do these days is exactly that, but we do it for smaller businesses.
Love it. So for those who don't know what direct response marketing is, what is that?
I've got no idea.
Yeah. It sounds good.
I said to Aldwyn before this, how many of these things have you done? She said, 10,000. I said, this will be your first failure. Well, direct response marketing is all about, as that name infers, getting a direct response.
Yeah.
And if you are a smaller business, which means you're probably doing under 5 million or under 4 million or even under $1 million turnover, then you don't have those deep pockets to sponsor the football teams or the Olympics or put your ads on the side of buses. You are wanting advertising that you can use today, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or letterbox brochures or TV, whatever it might be. You want it to, be able to do that advertising today and have food on the table tomorrow. So direct response is exactly that. I guess the corniest version of direct response marketing would be the TV infomercials. And a lot of people sort of, I guess, have a stigma against direct response because they think it's the Abswing or the George Foreman barbecue. And it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
I put direct response campaigns together for the likes of, businesses like the Versace Hotel. Like, if you think about it, that Versace Hotel on the Gold Coast, in winter, they have an occupancy that drops. And so what they've been doing over the years, I've seen it, is that they will actually drop their price. And when you drop your price for the people from Sydney or Melbourne that want to come up to the Gold Coast during the winter, it takes your brand from the penthouse to the basement pretty quickly. And so my view is that instead of dropping price, if they said, look, Sydney and Melbourne people, if you want to come up in the colder season to the Gold Coast and stay at Versace, we will pick you up with a stretch limo from the airport, and we will give you a free dinner at the Versace and tickets to the theme parks. Now, it would cost them probably not as much as the price discount, but would retain their brand and not take their brand down to the basement. And that's what direct response can do. Whatever discount that you're thinking of giving, turn it into a Happy Meal toy.
Love that. The Happy Meal toys. What a success that has been for so many years for Macca's that still have crap burgers, but the Happy Meal, unbelievable. Yeah, packaging things up that way is so powerful. Now, I must say, I have always been very, very inspired by your TV show that you were involved with back in the day, Dreams Can Come True. I love positive media. I think the world needs more positive media. There's always going to be crap going on in the world, and there's always going to be great things, and what you focus on grows. And your Dreams Can Come True, the video footage I've seen of it, mind-blowing. It actually will have you in tears. So can you explain a little bit about how that came about?
Well, look, as you know, I'm a little bit sarcastic and cheeky, and that can either be a curse or a gift. I'm not sure. It depends on what I'm with at the time. But I do have another side to me, and that is that as a Christian, of course, what I like to do is, if you can possibly every now and again give back. And how this TV show came about, it was called Dreams Can Come True. And Darryl Braithwaite, the former Sherbet singer, was the host of it. I don't think he wants to work with me ever again because we stirred him every time we had a few drinks after we pulled off a massive dream. Then the camera crew and myself would be singing, how's that? Around the restaurant. And of course, I think he went to bed early because of that. And what it was, as that name sort of implies, Dreams Can Come True. It's a TV show that Channel 10 put on Sunday night. It beat 60 Minutes in the ratings, would you believe? So when people say to me, good news doesn't sell, I say, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And how it came about, frankly, was that I had a bit of a financial hiccup. Not long before that, we lost a couple of $1 million in 1 week. A person that was working for me made a printing mistake, and all the things that we were printing had to be thrown out. And I said a prayer to the guy upstairs and just said, is there any chance at all that I could get back on my feet? And as it turned out, we did. We got back on our feet very quickly. I scored the rugby league bubblegum card license and we made all that money back. So I had to keep my promise to the guy upstairs. So I thought, well, why don't we actually do it in a wow factor way and inspire other people not to give up? Because we didn't give up. We kept on going. It was a tough period. And everyone's got that story. I'm not the only one. You've got your story and you've got yours.
Yeah.
So what I did is that I pitched an idea to Channel 10. It was about a TV show where normal, regular people who were doing it tough would all of a sudden be surprised with a dream. So if they needed a house, we surprised them with a new house. If they wanted to meet Michael Jordan, we got Michael Jordan to meet them. And it was just a marvellous show. Darryl Braithwaite was the host, and it ran on Channel 10 for quite some time, and I enjoyed every single second of it. I didn't do it for the money. We charged $145,000 per show to Channel 10, and it cost me $172,000.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not real good at maths, but no, we had to pay back. The guy upstairs, it was very kind to us, and we made it come back pretty quickly. And so therefore it was my job, I felt, to just pay back. And so this TV show was nominated for a Logie that year. We just dipped out on that. We didn't buy enough TV Week magazine. But it was just a lovely show. And one of the wonderful stories in that is a little boy in a wheelchair that suffered from spina bifida, 15 years of age, in Gosford. Oh. And his dream of all dreams was just to see, just to receive an autograph from Michael Jordan. And this was Michael Jordan's last season on this particular year. So this is 20 years ago, this TV show. And as it turns out, I sent an email to Michael Jordan's office, and he doesn't call into his office very often, but that particular day he called in and opened the email, just our luck. He got 2 million emails a week, by the way, at that time, but he opened ours, right? So the guy upstairs, I think, might have been a pretty good puppeteer. And so we got a call back from them the next day who said, yes, bring the little boy over here, and Michael Jordan will not just let him come to one of his matches, he'll take him to lunch in the Michael Jordan restaurant.
Amazing.
So we surprised the little boy at one of his basketball games. Oh, sorry, what I forgot to tell you is the little boy was a gun player in wheelchair basketball.
Ah.
And although he was only 15, he was in the adult Australian wheelchair basketball squad. So that's how good he was. If they scored 40 points, he scored 38 of them. So he was mad on basketball. That's why Michael Jordan, of course, was his hero. So at the end of one of these basketball games, when the game was over, and again, this little boy, Jay Campbell, his name is, and he had scored most of the points, we had a camera crew zero in on him. He had no idea what was going on. And we said, guess what? Friday, you're jumping in a plane with your father and you're off to not see Michael Jordan play basketball, have lunch with him.
Oh, amazing.
So, we pulled it off, and Michael Jordan took him to lunch, and that little boy's dream, was, all he was after was an autograph. He ended up having lunch with him.
Oh, wow, that's phenomenal. Wow, what an amazing project that you're involved with. And, wow, kudos to you for doing that.
That's
awesome.
Use that word, wow, that word's copyright.
Oh, copyright, okay, copyright to JD. And if people want to actually check out some of that, you've got that also on your website, haven't you? So we can pop that up here. So if you check out theinstituteofwow.com/wow-tv-show, you can check out some snippets of that. And I know every time I've seen it, as I say, I'm just in tears. Very, very moving. And I think more so now than ever, having some positive news and focusing more on the positives in life, I think, is really, really crucial. You're obviously a guy, JD, that has dreamed big over time yourself. How important has that been for you to actually have some goals and dreams moving forward in your business career?
Look, really, really important. I mean, and again, the guy upstairs has been very kind to us. We've got 6 children, and they're millennials, so they've left home these days, but we were very lucky to have the Von Trapp family.
Yeah.
And it was just great. I mean, I said to Gail, my wife, that, we're in the process at the moment of downsizing because we had a big house because we had the Von Trapp kids. And I said, look, we've got to downsize, not just for the practicality of it, because it's just lonely when you've had such a big family.
Yes.
And, you're in the house by yourself, and, you don't bump into each other too often because it is a reasonable sized house, given that we had all these kids.
Yeah.
I said, look, I think psychologically we've just got to downsize because it gets lonely. It really does get lonely. And look, I have to say that, my work, I guess, ethic throughout the years. And this came about because I got some training when I was at Woolworths. I was the national marketing guy at Woolworths for a little while. And there was a guy there that taught me a thing it just stuck with me forever. And that is that MBO, they called it management by objectives. I hate acronyms, by the way, because I'm lucky if I know what KFC stands
Yeah.
for. But anyway, this is MBO, Management by Objectives, and it means that you do nothing without having a deadline. And my suppliers that worked with me over the years to produce the scratch bingo cards or the football cards or these days web pages or websites, they hate me because I live by this management by objectives, because every time we agree on a job being done, whether it's a new website or whether it's a new advertising campaign on Facebook, they know that they've got to say to me, it'll be ready Friday. And then I do the skippy, I go, and they go, all right, 3 o'clock. And it's that anal. And it doesn't mean to say that you have to meet that deadline. Sorry, that you're going to meet that deadline.
Yeah.
But if you know on Thursday you're not going to meet Friday's deadline, you just tell me and we'll put it on to Monday. It's just that, the same old story as a dream is just a dream without a deadline.
Yes.
So, I must say that that's been a good one. And the other one that Woolworths taught me, which was really good, and everyone hates me for it, is another acronym, PPA, and that stands for Potential Problem Analysis. And I'll never forget, I was looking after the opening for a shopping centre for Woolworths in Dubbo, of all places. And at that time, the big star on TV was a guy called Tony Barber, son of the Central.
Yes.
And I had him opening up the shopping centre by cutting the ribbon, and we had Mickey Mouse arriving by helicopter and all sorts of things. And I remember the boss said to me, what's going to happen if it rains? I said, potential problem analysis. I got all that handled, and I told him what we would do. He goes, right, what if there's an earth tremor, like an earthquake? I went, what? How could you prepare for that? That's as far down the rabbit hole he went with preparing for problems. Now, he was only doing it to teach me a lesson.
Yeah.
But basically, look, I have to say to you, that's been a great thing in terms of, work ethic, and that is management by objectives, have a deadline. And the other thing is just what problems could go wrong. Just think of anything.
And be prepared to move with the times and go with the flow. Like, today we had this interview scheduled a few hours ago and we had all sorts of tech issues, right? And it just so happens that we're both on the Gold Coast. So, when we tried everything else, I said, well, how about I just come to you and we do it this way. And here we are, So thank you for those hanging in with us who've been waiting to see this.
The good thing is I can enjoy a scotch and dry whilst we're doing it.
Exactly.
We couldn't do that.
No, that's true. And there's, I do believe everything happens for us, not to us. And I think there's learnings in everything. And I think also so many people get way too serious about too many things. And I think, we've seen through COVID, we've known life is short, but I think through COVID even more so, I think people realise the fragility of life. And I think, the more we can have joy in our lives, the more we can have fun with what we're doing and not let these things get us down, because there's always going to be tech issues. There's always going to be things that won't go to plan exactly. And, you can plan a certain amount to what you think may happen. However, expect the unexpected.
Exactly. Yeah.
Expect the unexpected.
And I look at it, I know this is Aldwyn's show, but I said to her when she arrived at my house, thank you very much for the attitude that she had towards these techie issues, because we were doing it like a Zoom sort of thing this morning that just didn't, it wasn't Zoom, but it was another platform that just didn't work for us. And because we're not far apart, she said, look, why don't I just jump in the car and we do it? And I said, well, thank you. And when she got here, I apologised, but the demeanour that you had, well, no big deal. Yeah. We're here now, we can do it now, which is a lovely attitude to have.
Thank you. I've done a lot of personal development work over the years, and we have a mutual friend, Pat Mercedes, actually. If you're watching this, Pat, I'll do a shout out to you. I've done a lot of work with Pat and many other mentors over time, and that has been absolutely crucial for me. Your environment, who you hang out with, having good mentors and coaches. And I know Michael Jordan always reviewed his work, right? He was someone who was committed to excellence. Yeah. And for me, I know that's been crucial. How important has that been for you? Having a great environment of people around you, having a great attitude to life.
Look, I have to say that when the kids were growing up, I was hoping that they would play team sports. I know this sounds a little bit corny, but I was hoping that they would get into team sports, because I just think that's so important that you've got a team. And pretty much they did. There was one got into tennis, which is more a singular sport, and did very well at it. But I just think, the teamwork is fabulous. And the world that we live in now, because it's so easy to build a virtual team around you, that when you're part of your team can be in America.
Yeah.
And, you're the same as us. You've got the Filipino team and you've got people globally. And so, my view is that if you can actually create a team around you, and a team that works to the same ethics, deadlines, and they're always looking out for problems, and they've got your back, basically. I think that's so important. To be working by yourself alone, I think, is awfully dangerous.
Yes, and it can be a lonely road, and it can be very lonely with entrepreneurialism as well. And, you know, if you haven't moved with the times and been a little bit flexible the last few years, well, you're either, you know, green and growing or ripe and rotting, they say. And that's what's happened. Some people have absolutely collapsed and gone down by the wayside. In fact, through COVID, we've had 4 times the suicide rates worldwide than normal because of all the stuff, the pandemic, I call it, but because of all of that that's gone on the last few years. Normal suicide rate's about 1 million a year, so 4 times that through COVID. And a lot of people haven't coped because we're not designed to be locked down, to be socially distanced, to be wearing masks, you know, all that. We're not designed like that as human beings. And for those who haven't done the personal development work and maybe don't have that resilience and that stamina to withhold, you know, to withstand the tsunamis of life, I guess, right? Life will throw these curveballs, and I do say always, you know, life is a roller coaster ride. And so if you're not able to ride with it and to I mean, that word pivot has been used so much through COVID, right? That pivot word. If you're not able to do that, then you are going to get left behind. And then we've seen other businesses through COVID have absolutely boomed. Well, we know Zoom tripled its income in no time, and you know, you've got to be able to move with the times. And direct response marketing, you know, the letterbox drops, etc. You know, I would imagine now that that's actually coming back in more now because so many people are so, you know, online fatigued. Yep. Are you finding that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was, I'll just get exhibit A here.
Exhibit A.
I was just showing Aldwyn, one of the new concepts that we've come up with is for real estate agents, because they still, in the digital world that we live in, send out a lot of letterbox brochures. And they send the letterbox brochures out asking if, you know, you'd like your home appraised, because they realise that for every 10 appraisals they might get, then they might pick up 2 or 3 listings over the months, you know, after that. And I said to one agent, okay, well, if you get 3 listings out of every 10 appraisals, why don't you just do 1,000 appraisals? And he said to me, what do you mean? So we put together a concept where basically we help the real estate agents put out a check to their farm area, which is the homes around the area that their office is in, and it puts the valuation of the home, which you can get off any one of these sorts of real estate resources. And then on the back of that, it shows even a photo of the person's home. So that freaks them out when they go to the letterbox. They see their own home on the back of a valuation check. And it has gone nuts, because what we're saying, I mean, one real estate agent that I spoke to the day before yesterday, he said, of course, how did you come up with this? I said, well, I just thought to myself, you know, in the world that we live in, which is a world of scaling, if you can, if you get 3 out of every 10 appraisals turned into a listing, just hand out more appraisals. So what happens is that when this check goes in the letterbox, it basically says to the people, look, this is the valuation of your home at the moment. You probably didn't know what you're sitting on, but it's 1.2 million. If you'd like us to confirm that in writing, then just invite us to come in and do, you know, a proper appraisal. And he said, look, he set out 1,000 of them the day before. Within 24 hours, he had 11 appraisals. Up till now, he got 8 in a month. That's 11 in 24 hours.
Wow.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is not just to show, oh no, it was to show off, yeah. But not just to show off. It was, by the way, I am a show off. So, yeah, get over it. Who wants a marketing advisor who's not a show off? You know?
It's good to be proud.
Yeah. Imagine a marketing advisor looking like an accountant. Yeah. So, so therefore he said to me, look, this is unreal. For every 1,000 I send out now, I know probably it'll ebb and flow, obviously, depending upon variables, but, you know, I might get 10, 15 appraisals every time I send this out and pick up 2 or 3 or 4 listings, which is what it's all about. Guess what? That is in the letterbox. That's in the letterbox. It's not digital. And, you know, the thing is that I know we live in this wonderful digital age, and you know, what we're doing right now is, you know, evidence of just how brilliant it is. But don't forget, there's a thing called the letterbox out there, and people still go to the letterbox. And no matter what these gurus online will tell you, they'll still be going to the letterbox in 10 years' time.
And it shocks people even more when you actually get mail nowadays. And, you know, I've had many people send me, you know, send out cards. There's many different companies that do the cards and the gifts, and it always wows me. It always wows me. In fact, Dot Kirkup, I'll do a shout out to you, because, you know, recently my cat died and I adopted another cat. And and she sent me a photo of my cat on a postcard and sent it to me in the mail as a, you know, a lovely gesture that I hope Pablo's happy with his new home. And, you know, I thought it's just so sweet. And that's just one of many cards. She's involved in the Send Out Cards company. Yeah. And she just keeps sending these cards. And I just thought, wow, that is wow factor. That is going that extra mile to just go that extra mile to do that and to wow people. I think it's absolutely extraordinary. And nowadays, you're doing a lot with incentive-based marketing, right? Could you share a little bit about what you're doing there now?
Yeah, sure. If you're a business owner, and if you're not a business owner, then I'd probably leave now, actually.
Yeah.
If you're a business
Have a nice day.
Yeah, we just got paid for each other, right? It's called market segmentation. You're not part of my market. Have a nice life. Yeah. So if you are a business owner, you know that what you want is leads, and it's no surprise, of course, that Exhibit whatever C or whatever I've been flogging so many things here. But my book called the Avalanche Leads book is all about showing you how to get leads. I think that photo was a few years ago. There's not as many wrinkles. Anyway, and of course, I show off because of working with this guy, by the way. So we'll go through that in just a second.
Yes.
But most companies want leads. Not everyone wants a lead. You can't get a conversion without a lead, of course, And when you talk about a small business, I know that they can't have a 20 or 30 or 50% discount every week of the year. They can't. Now, Woolworths and Kmart and Big W, they can. They're built for that. But you're not. And so if you think about the hardware store that might be sitting opposite Bunnings, a 40-ton gorilla, if they dropped their prices, Bunnings would beat them in 5 seconds. So why play the price discount game? Why do that? And many years ago, I had a client called the Greater Building Society. And this particular building society is a big business. They're the 250th biggest business in Australia. But they're not one of the big four. The Commonwealth Bank and the Westpac would eat them. And when I was asked as a consultant to have a look at their business, I said to them, you need to consider challenger brand marketing. And they said to me, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a challenger brand. Oh, no, we're not. We're a big. No, you are. You're a challenger brand because the big banks like Westpac and Commonwealth Bank and so forth, they're going to eat you alive. Every time you drop from 4.6% for your home loan, they'll be 4.5% back. So I said, why don't you do things differently? And they said, like what? I said, well, challenger brand normally offers an incentive. And they said, okay, what's that? So I said, well, why don't you do this? I'm doing some infomercials at the time on Channel 9 for a travel wholesaler. Why don't I introduce them and they'll give you some cheap holidays? And instead of having a 1% honeymoon rate as a lead generator, then stop that, because every bank's doing a 1% honeymoon rate for 12 months. Devote that 1%, which on a $500,000 loan would be $5,000, all right? Devote that $5,000 to a $10,000 holiday that you'll get. And as it turns out, that's what they did. And so therefore we came on TV and Facebook and everything else. And we said, get a home loan from the Greater and get a free holiday. And as it turned out, it went nuts. They doubled their home loans in 3 months and they tripled their home loans within 12 months.
Wow.
And this idiot who's sitting here being interviewed didn't charge a percentage of the increase in home loan.
Oh, we live and learn. Expensive, less than.
I'm an idiot. So anyway, I did try it. When I saw it go nuts, I did try and do that, but they said, nah, too late, sorry. So anyway, and that's what's called a Happy Meal toy. They offered people who are looking to get a home loan or to swap a home loan a Happy Meal toy. Instead of going down the price discount path of, our home loan interest rates are 4.7, now 4.6, and the Commonwealth Bank would bet them like that, straight away, there's no way that anybody could take them on because they're the only bank that was giving away free holiday.
Extraordinary, hugely successful campaign. You can check out some of the videos. There's a really funny little video actually in there that I've just put in the comments here for you. The Seinfeld JD sledge and the TV ad as well. They're absolutely brilliant. And it's, genius mind that comes up with this, right? This entrepreneurial genius mind. Would you say you've always been creative like this, or is it something you've developed over time?
No, actually, my wife comes up with all the ideas and I steal them. Actually, she has come up with a few over the years. You know what? I've never told anyone. I've just gone on stage at conventions and stuff, and she'll be down in the back of her and go, I gave you that idea. I know. Well, it's a happy marriage. We share. But no, look, I guess I've been in the ideas game for a little while. That's why my first business was called the Dynamic Ideas Company. Yeah.
I love it.
I guess the PS to that story about the bank is that after 4 or 5 years of it being very, very successful, the general manager said, look, where to from here? We've scooped up all the low-lying fruit, which in their instance was working class. The building society and a credit union tends to attract working class.
Yes.
A bank tends to attract the suits, right? And
Yes.
so they said, where to from here? How do we take it to get the suits? And I said, well, you're a building society. You'll never get the suits, but we might be able to get senior management. And so therefore I asked a mate of mine at the time who was doing Jerry Connolly's TV ads for ING, how did he get, is it Jerry Connolly? Is it not? No, not Jerry Connolly. What? Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly.
Yep.
I said, how do you do that? He said, we just offered him X dollars, and wherever he was in the world, we flew with a camera crew and just did the ads. So I did the same thing and asked Seinfeld, would he be interested in doing that? And I'd make it sound simple. It was a 6-month negotiation, but nonetheless, we got Jerry Seinfeld to become spokesman for the grader. And when you put a free holiday with Jerry, it went nuts. And on one of those links that you've got there, I was having a drink with Jerry when we'd go to New York backwards and forwards, and we'd build a fake building society in an empty shop, and Jerry would come out and pretend that he just visited the grader. So it was too expensive to bring him to Australia, so we went over there to do the TV ads. And I was explaining to him, because he looked at a few of the TV ads and he said, you've got great testimonials. And it was husbands and wives in their kitchens and lounge rooms going, we swapped to the grader and we got a free holiday. I said, well, I'm there with the camera crew coaching them what to say, of course. These were real people, not actors. And I said, I always take the, what out of them at the end. I always say to them, look, Fred and Wilma, I'd like to say that was the best testimonial for the TV ads we've ever had. And they go, oh, thank you. I said, no, you didn't hear me properly. I said, I'd like to say that. I can't. You were awful. You were awful. And the camera crew reckoned that I was evil. So what happened is that when I was doing the Seinfeld thing, they got him to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He says, JD, I'd like to say you're the best marketing guy I've ever come across. And because I played the game. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to say that.
I love it. I love it. You've got a great sense of humor, I must say. Every time I've spoken to you, I've just cracked up laughing. And you have worked with some extraordinary people over time. Rupert Murdoch's News Limited, of course, you mentioned. Kerry Packer. Gosh, what was Kerry Packer like?
Yeah, I was a consultant to their magazine group. And so Nene King was running his magazine group at the time. You didn't get to see Kerry. But yes, Nene King was the lady who was the, basically, I guess, is historically the best known magazine general manager that this country's ever seen. Women's Day, Women's Weekly, all of that. They had Burke's Backyard magazine and so forth at the time. So my job was to sell more magazines, and they were in trouble when Princess Di passed away. Then the royal family sells magazines, simple as that. So if you put their photo on the front of the magazine, it will sell. And tragically, when Princess Di passed away, it was tough, because you can put George Clooney or Jennifer Aniston, whoever you want, on the front of that magazine. They'll never get anywhere near the royal family. And that's why in recent years, with the royal family having marriages and stuff, of course, magazines will be rubbing their hands. Except now, of course, back in those days when I was doing it, they were doing 1.1, 1.2 million circulation. These days, they'd be lucky if they're doing 350,000. It's a whole different game now. But that was good fun. So therefore, we did a lot of the scratch bingos for Murdoch. For Rupert Murdoch's newspapers. So therefore, that was the Sunday Telegraph and all of that sort of stuff. So we did a lot of that. And then because we got a bit of a reputation for doing what we call mass avalanche lead campaigns, then we got contacted by the fast food chains. So I was helping McDonald's and KFC and Red Rooster and all those sorts of places. And you've seen all those promotions whereby you collect the Coca-Cola cups or you collect the toys, or Monopoly-style promotions. And so I think we're pretty good at being able to tap into concepts or create concepts that get an avalanche response. I mean, for the New Idea magazine, which is the opposite from Packer, by the way, so that was another magazine group. Funny how you swap the teams, isn't it? Yeah. But yes, I did some stuff for them once, and on one occasion, we ran a scratch bingo contest with the New Idea magazine, where the actual game card dropped out of the magazine, and you could win $50,000, $100,000, but you had to ring. In those days, it was a 0055, I think it'd be 100, to get the bingo numbers. So you scratched out the bingo numbers, of course, depending upon number 6, number 14, number 24. We had 102,000 leads in the first week.
Wow, that's massive.
And this is little Australia. It's not America. 102,000 leads.
Wow. Wow, that's extraordinary. And a lot of the magazines, they package up, little goodies like bags and, makeup and all that kind of thing. And they'd sell a lot that way too. I know I often bought if there was extra goodies thrown in with the magazines, I would buy, because it's, if you get so much more value for what you're paying for, why wouldn't you, right?
And you've just hit on that. And by the way, just before we go any further, if I could just pat myself on the back, because I'm showing up.
Well done,
well
done.
Thank you. I know everything, and one of my wonderful, I guess, character traits is my humility. I'm very humble.
Yes, you are, incredibly, yeah.
But you do touch on what is really important if you are a business owner, and just stop the price discounting. And what you should consider is always value adding. And I've got 6 kids, and they've all grown up and left home. But at one stage, we had 6 under 12. And we spent a lot of money with McDonald's. I think it was $7.2 billion that we spent on Happy Meals, and they never, ever ate the hamburger. It was all about the free toy that was in the Happy Meal box. And McDonald's were very clever in taking our eyes off the price.
Yeah.
So too was Kellogg's. As a kid, I think the Flintstones were probably on TV at my time, and I would pester Mum, get the cornflakes for the Flintstones toys. And I don't know that I ever really ate the cornflakes. Amazon have their Prime membership club these days, which if you join that, you get special benefits of free movies and free music and this and that. So think of a dining voucher, or think of a movie voucher, or whatever it might. Don't ever give away one movie ticket, because that would be like winning a shoe. So make it a movie ticket for 2. Right? So,
you'd be like Cinderella looking for the other one.
That's right. So I'll tell you in a minute the number 1 incentive in the world, because I'm teasing you, but I'll show you one that just is like going nuts for every business, and you'll be blown away by it. But even if it was that you give them a movie ticket, or you give them a dining voucher, or you give them something, do something to stop price discounting, value add, and give them what we call an incentive.
Yes, I think that's very, very smart. And it's interesting, we talk about News Limited. I actually worked at the Bulletin and the Sun 20 odd years ago. And I remember back then, the Murdochs, people would talk about the Murdochs. And I remember once Rupert Murdoch came into the Gold Coast Bulletin, and, that was big news at the time, because you just didn't see the big bosses when you're working in Newsland. Gosh, back then even, it was like a word factory working for a newspaper back then as a journalist. It was go, go, go. In fact, when I started at the Sun, I was doing 5 stories a week in 2000. By the time I left in 2005, I was doing 30 stories a week.
Wow.
So the world of media was starting to change back then. And in fact, in 2002, we used to have the Gold Coast Sun and the Hinterland Sun. And then it evolved into 5 papers with no extra reporters. So now we had the Upper North, the Central, the South, and the Tweed edition of the newspaper, and no extra reporters. So it was very high stress, constant deadline, and people were burnt out. It was a 5-year burnout with journalists at the time. And, then social media came out. In fact, Facebook started in 2004. And now we have half the world's population are active social media users. 4 billion people now active social media users. And this is how the whole world of media is changing. So if we do not go onto social media, if we're not doing things like this, this wasn't around, we weren't able to stream out right across the world like this. And technology has done some amazing things to be able to do this kind of thing. And in business, we really have to just move with the times. And it's a lot of test and measure, isn't it? Because things are changing so rapidly. Algorithms are changing so rapidly. So what's some of that journey been like for you, moving from the traditional world of media that's not social media, and then moving into the social media world?
Look, it's been a challenge, because just even all jokes aside, if you're a baby boomer, and that's what I am, then of course you haven't grown up with this, whereas all of our kids, they've grown up with something in their hand all the time.
Yeah.
So, but given the nature of our business being marketing and advertising, obviously I had to make sure that, I was up with it. But what I've done is surrounded myself with the experts, because you don't need to be a chef to know what tastes good. Right. So therefore I don't bother getting down the rabbit hole into algorithms and all of that. Because I know, and so do you, if you wasted money on Facebook, that the prime driver of any advertising, it doesn't matter whether it's television or it's letterbox brochure or magazine or Facebook, is the creative. It's the offer. That's the main driver. And if Facebook's not working for you at the moment, I would suggest that you don't necessarily blame your Facebook expert, but rather have a look at the offer and have a look at, what wow factor or lack of is in your advertising. Probably a great example of this, and if you're about to leave, don't leave just yet, because you will love this next idea, okay? this is probably the idea of the interview. I know there'll be a better one that comes afterwards. But anyway, this one is, I was doing a seminar somewhere and up doing the usual song and dance of wow factor marketing, and look at me, I'm great. And you could be like me if you just buy the program. Anyway, my son, I was saying to, I think I said to you yesterday, my young son in his 20s, wants to create a sort of TV sitcom program like The Office, but it's based on the seminar. It would be funny. It would be funny. I could give him stories. So this one is, this guy comes up to me at the end of my little song and dance on the seminar, and he said, "Oh, JD, my name's John Dwyer, but I get JD." He said, "Oh, JD, listen, I've been trying to sell my aluminium fences on FacePage and it's not working." I said, "What?" He said, "That FacePage thing just doesn't work." It's probably not working because it doesn't exist. It's Facebook. And he went, "Oh, whatever it's called, FacePage, Facebook, whatever." I'm like, "Oh, God, this is going to hope he doesn't join the program." And I've got enough idiots around here. And so anyway, I said to him, "Yeah, right, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm putting out letterbox brochures and doing Facebook." And he said, "I go to geographically the suburbs that have got old wooden painting fences and they're falling down." And so he said, "That's where I put my leaflet, or that's where I concentrate my Facebook stuff." I said, "Okay, let me have a look." So he shows me his leaflet. God love him, seriously. I mean, he could not spell IQ. I said to him, "Do you realise your leaflet's got a picture of the aluminium fence?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, that's what I sell." I said, No. And I looked at his Facebook page, ad, and again, aluminium fence. And the copy on top of that was, "My dad started the business in 1842, and eventually I took it over and it's been around for," and it was just so boring. And I said to him, I think I told him straight that he was boring. And I don't know why. I think it's just when you give them tough love, they, for some crazy reason, it attracts them. He joined the program. And so I said, "Look, just get out of the way," right? And so he did. And what we did is we ran the ugliest back fence in Australia contest. So we said on Facebook, we zeroed in, of course, because as you know, it's laser targeted. You can go geodemographically wherever you want. So we went to the suburbs and the areas in Gosford that were older areas that had a pretty old fence. And we just said to them, "You can win a brand new aluminium fence makeover, which is worth $5,000, but costing $1,500. Right? All you have to do, wait for this, take a photo of your crappy fence, post it, and then you're in the draw to win aluminium fence." 3 days and $702. 3 days later, we had to close the campaign because he had 6 months worth of leads.
Wow.
He rang me up and said, "I can't do this. FacePage is working too well." And now we do that for clients with kitchen renovators and a whole bunch of other things. But you think about kitchen renovator, what does he want? He wants someone who's got a 30-year-old kitchen. So we placed the Facebook, and all of these guys were showing their kitchen renovation, or in his instance, aluminium fence. I said, "That's the feature. You want to show the benefit." If features sold, then Jenny Craig will just have a picture of rice on her Facebook ads, because that's the way you lose weight. Just eat rice. I mean, anything else. No, she shows the before and after, the lady that might be not feeling too good about herself. And then, of course, 4 months later, she looks like a supermodel. So the thing is that, be careful in your advertising that you're not concentrating on the features. You should be concentrating on the benefits. And the wonderful thing about these sorts of campaigns, where it's ugly to good, is that they're taking a photo of their ugly kitchen for the chance to win a kitchen makeover. They're giving you not only glowing in the dark, going, "I want a kitchen, I want a kitchen." They're showing you a picture of their crappy kitchen. It's a lead from heaven.
That's a great idea. Absolutely.
Excuse me for a second.
Another pat on the back. Well done, JD. Well done. That is fantastic. And now travel is the next big thing you're focusing on, and these travel incentives. Before we get into what this is all about, I'd love to know more of your background of how important travel has been for you, and where have you traveled to in your life?
Yeah. Because I was a Disney licensee for many years, so I took out the licenses with a lot of the movie companies to do the bubblegum cards and the stickers and the books and stuff that you get at the news agencies and Big W. Disney, I took out the license for The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and all those movies, and we'd produce the trading cards. Used to have bubblegum with them, but they didn't in this particular era. I was doing that in the 90s and the early 2000s. This guy had to go backwards and forwards to Disney quite often. Just picture this: Von Trapp family six kids saying to children, Daddy's going for a meeting in Disneyland, you stay home. That wasn't going to happen. So every business trip cost me like 30 grand because, and a couple of them I had to go to Orlando, so make it 40 grand, you know. And yeah, so we did Disneyland quite a few times, I have to say. I've been to Disneyland probably 40 or 50 times. And yeah, courtesy of, well, that's why at this age I'm still working. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what someone said to me the other day. Someone said, you know how like everyone thinks you're more wealthy than what you are?
Yeah.
And someone said to me that it was a new client that came on. And I don't know whether he was commenting on the wrinkles or what. He said, JD, surely you can just give this up now. I mean, you know, what do you want to keep on doing this? Which is really weird for a new client to say that. And he said, what do you keep doing it? I said, easy, 6 millennial kids.
Yeah.
That's fine. They've only just all left home, you know. Yeah, so we did a lot of Disney stuff. And in fact, because I was a Disney licensee, believe it or not, I was invited to the opening of the Paris Disneyland. Now, we didn't have 6 kids at that time. I think we had 1 or 2. But that was a lovely experience to be part of the Disney management team. You know, I wasn't cutting the ribbon, but I was in that particular area. And it was great to go to the opening of a Disney park. But all the usual things, of course, are your Fijis and your Vanuatus and what have you. We've done Europe only once, but we woke up to ourselves. See, if you go to America with kids, it's really easy. You just get one of those budget rented cars that goes on forever and you put them all in the back seat and everything's fine. When you go to Europe and you're visiting castles and things of heritage, that's not good for kids.
No.
Dad, where's the roller coaster? You know,
Yeah.
did you know this castle was built in the 60s? They couldn't give a, you know what. So I said to Gail throughout that, forget Europe, just forget it.
Yes.
When we get older, which is now,
Yeah.
we'll do Europe there.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to say this. We get on the plane. This is all pre 9/11, right? So therefore, we get on the plane on one occasion, Qantas, and we've got the Fun Trap kids, you know, and you can see all the business people going to Los Angeles, and we're going to Disney, but they're going to Los Angeles for meetings, and you could see them look up, and it was a sitcom, and it's going, oh, please God, do not let them sit. And what they didn't realise, Gail, my wife, was a school teacher, so she's used to young kids even before we had 1,000 of them. She had given it to Finnegan. And Finnegan, of course, kicks in an hour later. I don't know. I don't know what's in an aspirin, but anyway, this Finnegan, hopefully it wasn't an illegal substance. Anyway, she gave this to them. So when the 6 kids actually hit the seat after having their meal, they just got well. And what happened is that at the end, when we arrive at Los Angeles, the guy from Qantas gets on the microphone, whatever you call him, a steward, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we've just arrived in Disney, in California, and the home of Disneyland, and this, that, and the other. We hope you enjoyed your trip. And can I just ask all 382 people in the plane to put their hands together for the Dwyer family, because they scared us shitless before they sat down. But for some reason, the kids were the best kids in the world. I think he mentioned the Brady Bunch. He said, it's a Brady Bunch. Little did he know the kids were drugged.
Yeah.
And by the way, if anyone from any government departments are watching this, it was my wife that drugged them.
Yeah. And they did come back to life.
They did. Exactly. So yeah, that's we. I know you're leading into the travel thing, but yeah, we've done plenty of travel, and some of it was stressful. Yeah, some of it was stressful.
Yeah, got it. So what are you doing now with this incentive-based travel you're doing now?
Okie dokie, and thank you for leading to leading to this, because this is a big one. And although I said to you before, stick around because that was my best idea. No, this is the best idea. Right? Come back next week. There'll be another best idea.
Yeah.
This one here, this is what we call a vacation voucher, and it means nothing to you at the moment. But on the back of that, there's all sorts of destinations around Australia and around the world. And this has actually changed a lot of businesses in the last few years. What happened is that about 4 months before COVID, we were contacted by an international travel company who said, look, I've seen your Seinfeld campaign down under. This company's overseas. And if you've got Seinfeld doing some ads for something, that's pretty hard to keep that a secret. And so therefore these guys said, look, we're a travel company and we've got access to unsold hotel rooms around the world, most of which are 4-star. Okay. And I said, okay, good. Yeah, go on. And he said, look, we're a travel company. We get access to this. You look like you have half a clue with this marketing stuff. We've seen what you did with the Grader and Seinfeld and what have you. Do you want to join forces whereby you package something up with all of these unsold hotel rooms, offer it to businesses as a Happy Meal toy that they can use to basically lure customers? Now, they didn't use the name Happy Meal toy, that's my language, but they said, do you think this would be good for business owners to give away like a free holiday when someone buys the refrigerator or lounge suite, whatever it might be? And I said, yeah, hallelujah, absolutely. So for a month or two, I packaged it up into a package which is pretty similar to what it is now, where businesses would buy 50 of these holiday vouchers from us. And they are worth, they're 3 to 7 nights stay at these hotels throughout Australia, New Zealand, and Bali, and Hawaii, and America, and Europe. And it costs them less than $50. And the reason you can do that is because if the cost of goods is zero, then you can basically have a pretty good price and still make money, right? And so therefore, that's what we did. We came out and we advertised it on Facebook and LinkedIn and the whole thing, and just said, look, how would you like to attract more customers to your business? It didn't matter what business you were, whether you're online or offline. You would simply say, spend X dollars with us, and we'll give you a free holiday, all based on the success of the Greater Building Society, right? And it went nuts. It went absolutely nuts. And we were making great money for 3 or 4 months. And COVID, right up to the February, did COVID hit February or March? March. And I remember in February, after all this money pouring in, because, what business would not want to grab this and use it as a Happy Meal toy to attract customers to buy whatever their product or service was? I mean, coaches and consultants, the likes of us, were buying it to actually give to people when they bought their coaching program. Furniture stores were buying it when someone bought it, $1,000 worth of furniture, they got a free holiday. And just like the Greater, it exploded the business. And God was watching, unfortunately, because I said to my wife in February, after we'd had these 3 or 4 gigantic months, I said, Fiji. And she said, well, that'd be good. You've been working pretty hard. That'd be lovely to go there for a holiday. I said, holiday, if you get the holiday, buy the island. And God was watching and saw my head got too big and thrust COVID upon the world. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So here we are with the retirement package, this unbelievable holiday program that was just going great guns up until COVID. And the first time in 100 years, no one could go on holiday.
Oh, God.
Did I tell you all this, John Lucky?
Yeah. Well, at that point you would feel it for sure.
That's why the technical issues when we go. Anyway, so that was interesting. So what we did, and I hate the word, but we had to pivot like everyone else did. And so what we did is that we actually got approval from the travel company to have drivable holidays in Australia. So we had destinations like, Port Macquarie and Coffs Harbour and Shepparton and Bendigo and all that. So we skated through. It was nowhere near the sort of success that we would have had like we have now, because we've got Amsterdam and Italy and Venice and Las Vegas and New York and London and all throughout Australia. So now it's back to where it was. But that was a challenging couple of years. So anyway, look, the thing is now that, if you think to yourself, if you own a business, what would be a Happy Meal toy? What would be an incentive that would be the most popular incentive you could possibly offer post-COVID? Holiday, of course. Yeah. Because if you said to me, look, buy my product or service and I'll give you a microwave oven. Okay, I've got a microwave. What are you going to do with a second microwave? Oh, JD, we'll give you a refrigerator. I've got one in the garage with my beer and I've got one in the kitchen. Well, with my beer. And we'll give you a lawnmower. And I've got a lawnmower. So the thing is, if I got down the stairs from Fiji and you came up and gave me another holiday, I'll give you a bear hug and go back up. I can't get enough holidays. And that's why it's been successful. It's appealing to all ages, both sexes, all ages. And, we've been, selling this as a package for customer draw card reasons to every business you could think of, from dental surgeries to landscapers to pool cleaners, people who used to clean pools. In fact, the guy that came here, because he gives us a good deal on the pool cleaning, I looked after him with the price for the holidays, of course, but he said to me, this has been transformational, because what was happening is that he was coming to clean people's pools, including ours, and then they'd get something in the letterbox and they'd swap because they were cheaper. But he said, now what I say to them, look, if you get me to clean your pool, every time I come, I'll give you a holiday point. And when you save up 10 holiday points, which means he's got 10 visitations, they get into a habit, he gives them, guess what? Free holiday. Great. To Bali or Fiji. I mean, Bali's 7 nights for free.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. And this is not timeshare, right? Now, it's good to, sort of look at this, because there's been all sorts of travel things come and go where people have been burned. So how is this different to timeshare?
Yep, thank you. I turned it upside down, because when these guys rang me a few months after COVID, I said to them, look, we run a marketing business. I don't want to be stuck with a scam product. And being in the marketing game, I've seen all the travel scams over the years, dozens of them. And they said, no, they said, it's just a win-win-win. I said, no, I've never heard of that. I've only heard of win-win. I said, you've got to do, now you've wowed me with the extra win. They And they said, well, it's got to be a win for the business. So therefore, they are attracting more customers because they've got this happy meal toy. It's got to be a win for the customer and, Betty Bankstown because she gets the holiday. But it's also got to be a win for the hotel. And I said, yeah, okay, well, win. And he said, so therefore, the hotels are not going to be stupid to put on timeshare. There's nothing to do with that. So no one's going to get locked in a room. Essentially, the hotel's hoping that they'll get money from food and beverage. That's all it is. They figure that if someone stays in their hotel for 3 to 7 nights and they're not paying for the hotel room, there's a pretty good chance those people will spend money at the cafe and the restaurant and the cocktails by the pool. Now, keep in mind, there are conditions to something like this. Obviously, the hotels are not in this just to make all of us rich. They want to get rich themselves. So there are some conditions, but, they're all very fair and reasonable. No school holidays because they don't have unsold rooms. So this is all based on the hotels giving up unsold rooms.
Right.
They don't have any unsold rooms during Christmas, Easter, school holidays. So therefore, that's a given. The other thing is that because it goes through a booking platform, which is like an Expedia, there's a nightly booking fee, but you go to the movies these days and buy points tickets, you'll pay a booking fee. You go to Paul McCartney, you're going to pay a booking fee. So everyone's used to that. And you got to book 30 days in advance. So the conditions are pretty, in my mind, very fair and reasonable. You've got the Elvis found headline. That's what the businesses have, what I call the Elvis found headline. We know that if we walk past a news agency and there was a cage with Sunday Telegraph up the top of it that said Elvis found, probably we're going by the paper for the first time for a while. So this is the Elvis found headline: buy my product or service and get a free holiday.
Amazing. And how many different places can they choose from?
Over 110, I think there's 110 different places. So yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the back of one of these vouchers here. When the businesses come on board, we email the vouchers to them and they print them out if they want, or they just email them to their customers. But we're talking everything from, in America, you're talking Las Vegas and Orlando with Disney is, you're talking Grand Canyon, New York, San Diego, throughout Europe, it's Italy, Spain, it's France, it's UK. In Australia, it's all the capital cities and Cairns and Gold Coast, and in New Zealand, it's 7 destinations. So when you give this to someone to be able to, most people take the holiday in Australia. This is an Australian business. We do this in America now. And most people who, the businesses buy from us and then they give them to their customers, most people go to Vegas or Orlando or New York, something like that. But nonetheless, if someone wants to go overseas and enjoy the free vacation over there, then that's fine. Obviously, travel's not included. Getting these for under $50, they expect this. Some idiots, some people, asked me, okay, we get the vouchers for under $50. Does that include airfares to Los Angeles?
No. Crazy, yes. I mean, it's a good thing, but not that good, right? So yeah, that's still amazing because $50. Gosh, that's crazy. And you do have a special deal, don't you, for our?
Of course, you would have an interview like this. Of course, I would have a special deal. It would not be a good interview without a special deal. Now, what it is look. Normally, what happens with this is that there's a minimum quantity that you need to buy, and normally we sell this at $97. Per voucher, which people need to buy 50, which means if they give us 50 times $97, which is 4,850 Australian dollars. The reason I'm saying to you under $50 is because we have a special deal for any of you guys if you want to grab it. And the URL, the website that you need to go to is bestpromo.com.au. It's funny about me being very shy, isn't it?
Bestpromo.com.au.
I had to put together a landing page for this so that it would be relevant to this particular interview with Aldwyn. And you'll see when you go to that page, I think we've got both our photos on there. And I'm thinking, well, what URL will I come up with? And I thought, well, this is the best promotion I've ever seen. And it really is, despite the fact I make money out of it, so you'd expect me to say that. But it is the most powerful customer incentive. I've tried everything, as I told, lawnmowers and dining vouchers, movie vouchers, and you name it, I've tried it. Nothing comes close. This is like, we've got a fuel discount promotion. In other words, we showed people how they can give up to $1 a litre to their customers if they buy their product or service. That's pretty sexy, $1 a litre, right? This is 10 times more powerful than that. So we've got a promotion running whereby businesses can say, buy my lounge suite and I'll give you $1 per litre discount off your petrol for X number of months. And that's a pretty sexy offer. This thing is 10 times. We've got the numbers, of course. This is 10 times more powerful. We have a guy that's got a water filtration system business in Perth. and he's up to just under 3,000 of these things.
Wow.
So that's how powerful it is. He says, my water filtration system versus 3 or 4 other companies that have got almost the identical system. And with us, you pay about the same price, but guess what? We give you free holiday. And let me say this to you, the Greater Building Society, for the 10 years that they ran this promotion, they were the highest home loan interest rate in the world. No one saw it because it took their eyes off the price. Exactly the same as McDonald's. Do you think that hamburger and fries at McDonald's is really worth what they charge the Happy Meal? No, the toy takes your eyes off the price.
Yeah.
The deal is, by the way, so that I can get you really excited about that, you don't have to buy 50. The page, which is bestpromo.com.au, you can buy 30 of these. And what we will do, because it is, all jokes aside, because when you're doing something like this, you'd be expected to give us like a crazy deal. So that's why we're doing it. But if you buy 30 at $97, we'll give you a 3-for-1 deal, which means you get 90. So that means each holiday, each one of these vouchers is costing you a pretty modest $32. To give someone something with up to $1,000 is a pretty good deal. Yeah.
Amazing. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that special offer. Bestpromo.com.au, you will find that. Buy just 30 holidays and get a 3-for-1 deal. So 30, and that's Australian dollars, $97.
Australian dollars. And look, the reason I do this is because my auntie, Mother Teresa, used to always say to me, look, be giving. And so therefore my mantra now is that I live to give. If you're not going to be sick, you will be sick in a minute. It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Oh, I love it. And of course, experiences are so cherished now, particularly since COVID.
Yep.
I would say a lot of people are really valuing this time and to have time with families. Is it for, they could go families, couples?
Yes, it's for 2 people and up to 2 children under 12. So therefore it can be a family holiday. It would have been completely useless for us because we had 100 kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, but yeah, so it's for 2 adults and 2 children up to 12 can stay in the same room. Yeah.
Got it. Although you could book multiple rooms, could you?
Well, yeah, look, there is an upgrade. And all jokes aside, I'm glad you brought that up because people say to me from time to time, this is business owners, because we don't talk so much with the consumers, of course, because that's their customers.
Yeah.
But they'll say, oh, what if they've got 3 kids? I go, well, just ask them, which 2 do they love the most?
Yeah.
Have you seen Home Alone?
Yeah.
Leave the other one out. But no, when you go online to do the booking, and it's all done online in a booking platform like Expedia, so it's all professionally done. It's not like you're going to be ringing a Filipino booking company. So when you go online, it'll just say to you, would you like to upgrade? Because if you've got another 2 or 3 children, you might want to take a bigger room or room next door. But all of that's done when you actually go to basically redeem the free vacation.
Love that. So bestpromo.com.au, check it out. And what an amazing offer. Now, JD, we've been chatting for over an hour. Can you believe it? So we'll start wrapping up shortly. However, I would love to chat about what is 1 or 2 of the major highlights you've had. You've done some extraordinary things through your life. What really stands out to you as some of your highlight experiences that you've had through your life?
Thank you. Before I answer that, I probably should say that I woke up to myself maybe a dozen or so years ago to hang around with people who say, why not? Not people who say why. And it's been a significant difference in terms of me enjoying what we do. I don't think that I enjoyed a lot of it back in the day when I was a bit younger because I don't know that I'm that good a manager. I don't think I'm that good. I think I'm a good team member, but we had 23, 24 staff. And when we were doing the rugby league football cards and all the scratch bingos and stuff, we were doing just under 14 million turnover a year. And that was in the 90s. So, in today's money, that would be a few dollars. And I had surrounded myself at the time probably with too many yes people because a lot of them were younger. And so therefore, yes, JD, yes, JD, yes, JD. So I didn't get enough feedback. And throughout that time, we had a good run. We had typical entrepreneur roller coaster ride, of course. As I said, it's never merry-go-round. It's a roller coaster ride.
Yes.
I had a whole bunch of people in the business, and which is crazy for a creative business, but I had a bunch of people in the business who were left brain. And people who are left brain are normally accountants or maybe they're operationally minded people. Nothing wrong with them. It's just they're always going to be glass half empty. It's always, every time I say, why don't we try this? Why don't we do that? I'd get the skippy.
All right.
And there's nothing wrong with potential problem analysis. I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of that. But this was just killjoy. It was always like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I must say that I got into this seminar game about a dozen years ago. And whilst, look, yeah, there's a lot of corny stuff out there with the seminar stuff. We know you've seen it and we've seen it. That's why it would be funny if it was a TV show. So there's a lot of, BS, if you like, in that industry. But one of the things I've found is that there's a lot of positivity in terms of encouragement. And just as, Aldwyn's here today with me, and we had a bit of a chat before this thing, and I'm asking her what she's doing, and I wish her all the very best of success, and I mean it, and she does the same with me. There's a lot of that in this, I guess you'd call it camaraderie. And the great thing about hanging around positive thinkers is that they always do come up with, why not? It can be the craziest idea. Why not? Look, why don't we do an underwater restaurant at the Opera House? Why not? You idiot. You idiot. But it's just really good to be in that environment where people say, why not? Not why.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I have to say to you, to answer your question, what's the highlights? The highlight for me probably was a dozen years ago when I started to mess around with speakers and consultants and people who do have the right mindset. They are people who go, why not? Largely. But if you said to me, look, from a point of view of, what you've done in your career, there's no question that doing the Seinfeld thing for 3 years, it had to have to be up there. And of course, anyone who's been around me since I did that hates me because I roll that out all the time. One mate of mine said, how long are you going to keep on boasting about working for Seinfeld for 3 years? Let me think, forever. Idiot, what a stupid question. In fact, I've got to tell you this. When we did it for 3 years, so I fly back and forth to New York, and of course Seinfeld had smaller kids at the time, so this was a few years back. So I made sure I took Socceroo jumpers, and I took the Billabong clothing and all that for his little kids. And on one occasion, I said to Jerry, we were having a drink, and I said to him, because what we would do is that we would set up an empty shop with the Greater Building Society, because you're dealing with Seinfeld, everything was big. So like this was a real Greater Building Society, branch in the middle of New York. It was a little country town called Cedarhurst, which wasn't far from where he lives. And we just took out the whole street. We closed this. You have to, because if people knew that he was there, then banning helicopters were there,
Wow.
And so therefore we closed off the street for 2 days. We paid all the shops what they normally would have got in takings. That's how big it was.
Wow.
We had 80 crew on the TV commercial. So we're talking big time, way bigger than I'd ever been involved with before. And on one occasion, having a drink with him, and I said to him, Jerry, do you mind me asking something? And he said, yeah. I said, you don't have a website. And he didn't. And he had a Facebook page, not a website. And he said, why would I need one? And this was the second year of the 3 years. And I said, well, you could sell kind of Seinfeld caps and polos and T-shirts. And he had reading glasses on at the time. And it was like I was getting chastised by the school principal. He goes, JD, do I look like I need to sell your caps and T-shirts? And I said, I forgot. You got more money than God. And anyway, as it turns out, then the ultimate sledge, he says, and by the way, why would I need a website? He said, I've looked at your Institute of Wow one. I'm on there more than you are. I said, if the roles were reversed and you were a nobody and I was a somebody, wouldn't you do it? He goes, probably would. Anyway, the lovely compliment. Lovely compliment. I went back to the hotel that night and sketched up a website for him, because I actually haven't got to here, but I do a quick sketch of websites and stuff so I can draw. So that, let me just show off here.
Yeah,
so therefore,
you're very good at that.
I'm very good. I'm very good at everything. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just one of many talents.
Here it is. Yeah, so therefore, I will sketch up that sort of thing. Like I will sketch up websites pretty quickly. So that would take me 10 minutes to sketch up what a website might look like, because let's face it, most people have websites, so it's pretty easy to impress by quickly, doing the sketch. So I did that and gave it to him the next day. And would you believe, not long after, I got a thank you note from him, and he did produce a website. It's now changed because it was some years ago, but he based on that layout.
Wow.
Which is good. So I sent him the bill for $8 million.
Yes.
Which would be like a drop in the ocean to him. So yeah, besides it was just fantastic. I mean, to be able to boast that you'd worked. I mean, a lot of people do the selfie thing. They run around the world, take a photo with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I actually worked with him for 3 years, which was good fun.
Amazing.
He's never mentioned it to anyone else on his side. I worked with this JB news, and in fact, I asked him, this is funny, and if it's not, then just laugh anyway. When I got there the first time, I said to him, "Can I just ask you, why did you say yes to this?" because I did chase him down quite a bit. And he said, well, number one, I love Australian sense of humour. He said, you guys are cheeky, and that's my sense of humour.
Yeah.
He said, number two, I thought to myself, if I don't say yes, you'd never go away. And I said, well, persistence beats intelligence.
Yeah.
And look, the second thing I'd say is I try to be number one, and number two, but not very far behind, would be that dream's going to come true show. And look, if you're feeling a bit down today, and maybe it's not a great day, just go to the instituteofwow.com. So it's the instituteofwow.com. And although I think we've got it in the chat room here, the actual link, if you just go up to JD, which is talking about me, and click on that, there's a sub link that comes down that says Wow TV show. And look, they're little 10-minute segments. I don't bore you with the whole show, but it just makes you feel better about today. Yeah.
It's just wonderful, wonderful. And what other success tips would you have for people who are aspiring entrepreneurs in today's world? Looking back at your life, some success tips, maybe some things that you wish you knew when you were younger.
And I love that when it gets to the end of these interviews where it wouldn't matter whether it's Aldwyn or anyone else, they go, successful things in your life. Like there's every chance in the world now that I would die tomorrow, because like it's just like, yeah, now that you're about to die, one of the most successful things that you want to be renowned for.
How would you like to be remembered, JD?
You know what? A mate of mine was annoying me. A few years back. I said to him, oh, just go away. We were arguing over something, but great mates. And because, I said, look, and he said, oh, I'll see you later. And I said, yeah, see you later. I hope you die in your sleep. His wife rings me the next morning and said, Tony's gone off to hospital. I said, what? She said, he's been having heart palpitations. Everything's fine. I didn't know whether he did it just to disturb me. I said to her, I better not tell you what I said to her. Yeah, look, I guess really the tips that I would give anyone is, hang around crazy people. Okay, seriously, don't hang around anyone that's normal. They're not fun. And the thing is that I'm not saying for a moment, back a silly idea. No one wants to. Do your homework and make sure you've done your, I guess your time and motion study on whatever that idea is that you're going to set up. But try and hang around crazy people, because crazy people do this. I mean, she's crazy, she's nuts, she's a complete fruitcake.
Yeah.
But a lovely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're going to do Elvis impersonation. But she's just a lovely, sincere person who has fun. She had, for some reason, she must just be a masochist, because she's come to my seminars and stuff over the years and laughed at the silly dad jokes, which I'm very grateful for. But she's underneath all of that. She's a lovely person, and hang around crazy people, because you'll find that they'll get things done. The second thing is when you want something done, give it to a busy person. I know that's been around for 1,000 years. I didn't dream of that, but the thing is that I find busy people will get shit done for you. Lazy people don't. There's no cure for laziness unless they go into the military. There's just no cure for laziness.
Or the police force.
Or the police force. Where you just, and I guess the other thing too, I mentioned to you, basically hang around people who say why not people who say why. And I think the other thing too is that scaling. Okay, now I know, Kerwin Gray and a whole bunch of these other speakers are out there teaching people to scale, and it's fantastic. It's great. Okay, just make sure you do that, because I've got millennial kids now, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Oh, look, we've got this idea, Dad." By the way, the millennial kids will never come to you until they get a mortgage. That's funny. Dad, I don't think they even knew what I do.
Yeah, right.
Because they used to call me ATM. And by the way, the only time I think they knew what I did is when this holiday thing came along. They have milked the crap out of me. Oh my goodness! I said to Gail, for all these years, we've taken them to Disneyland and put food on the table, and we've been on the roller coaster, right? There's been some dry months there, right? And I don't think they knew what I did. But this holiday thing came along. Dad, you're the best.
Oh, yeah. So it's a great way to win friends and influence people, and to bring your kids back.
But look, scaling. The mistake I made, and it was a stupid mistake, is that for all of the years up until this last dozen years, I might have had staff behind me and so forth, but I was the guy that went out there and basically went to Rupert Murdoch's newspapers and did the selling, and then I would, whenever clients came on for consultancy, I tried to have an implementation coach as best I could, but guess what? After 2 or 3 months of an implementation coach, they go, "Oh, JD, we want to come back to you. We just want JD." And that's fine. It really builds the ego and all of that, but it's not scalable. And because there's only, 1 million, there's only one use, so therefore it's not scalable. And what I woke up to over this last dozen years was that you need to scale. So therefore what I do now is that when people come on board, our train, if you like, they get me, but they get me in scalable sort of formats. And they get to, depending upon what they pay, of course, they get to talk to me. But the thing is, the mistake I made for all those years was that they were only getting me, and you can only spend so many hours a day doing it. Whereas what we tend to do now, in this instance, the holiday program, they get all of mine now because this has all been put together by me, but I can sell this to 20 or 30 companies today and not necessarily be involved because it's all packaged. And that's what I've woken up to. We've now packaged, whether it be fuel discount promotions or this one here where, for example, this one we've just launched, and it's a golden ticket promotion where people can win. Wait for it, I'll show you on the back of it. People can win $50,000 when they shop at your business. So if they come online, they buy something from you, they're in a $50,000 draw. You don't have to come up with the $50,000. We've actually got that from an insurance company, and you pay 3 or 4% of that or something. So therefore, what I've done is I've got this, taken it all out and put them into packaged promotions, whereby you still get me, but you buy the package promotion, and you get a little bit of me, but you get a lot of me in terms of the IP value of all of this stuff that's going on. All of it's been tested. We don't launch things that have not been tested, so therefore we can stand behind, what we sell. And I think that's the big lesson. I'm sure you've been through this learning curve as well.
Yes.
Think of ideas where you can scale.
Yes, I love that. And building the team. And of course, trust is a massive issue now, and particularly through COVID, where trust is so huge. We had so many scammers, etc. And so people don't know who to trust nowadays. And so part of scaling is actually building a team and learning to trust a team. So do you have any tips around that, having had big teams yourself and running teams now? Any tips around how to manage a team so that you can all scale and work together?
I reckon regular communication. Whether it's once a week on a Friday that you all get together, whether it be virtual or in the office. I think regular communication. Over all the years that we've been doing this, because I've been doing this since 1842, we've had a couple of people steal from us. I mean, we lost 50K once where some guy that was working for us got a lot of the product that we were selling at the time. We're doing a lot of big Disney stuff at the time, big posters, and we're doing books and stickers and all sorts of stuff. And the warehouse that we had, he had access to, and half the warehouse disappeared.
Wow.
And of course, we just thought it was a normal break-in, but as it turned out, it was tracked back to one of our employees.
Wow.
I didn't do anything about it. It wasn't worth it, but that was sad. And so it's one of those things that I guess you just have to appreciate that. Unfortunately, there's people out there that are like that, and hopefully they're just a minuscule percentage of the population. So there's not a lot you can do about that. The trustworthiness thing is absolutely what you've got to live with, because if you don't trust people, you can't go forward. But there's going to be 1 or 2 of those people who you trust from time to time that will do the wrong thing. But I reckon communication. I think at the end of the day, when you came in today, I said to Aldwyn, I came across this thing a few years ago. It's fantastic, and you haven't got to get it. I mean, you even get it before you do anything with me, because otherwise I won't talk to you. It's called Voxer, Voxer. It's brilliant. It's just a 2-way radio from World War II. That's all it is. But you have the app on your phone, and it means as if you get your other colleagues or suppliers, in my instance, that have got Voxer. So if I'm talking to the Filipino artists that we have and so forth, website designers, I just Voxer them. I go, JD here. Look, I hope it's nice in the Philippines today. It's 30 degrees here, as if they want to hear that. But can you make sure that the web page you've just done, put blue up in the sky, not thunderclouds? That's not good for a holiday program. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking? The one thing I learned at the grader is that when you're promoting holidays, this is what you've got to have. You've got to have that. You've got to have no clouds in the sky. It's got to be white sand and beautiful, beautiful people. Because ugly people don't go on holidays.
No,
I know that.
And they don't sell.
We're not politically correct.
No.
And so anyway, I had an Asian guy that was doing all our websites, a very good friend of ours, and his name is John. My name is the same thing. And I'm doing the seminars. He's been down the back of the room, and he would control all the PA equipment and so forth, and just a great mate. And we used to take the what out of each other. So during the seminar, I'd say to them, look, if anyone wants website or PA, he's the man for the job. He's fantastic. John, can you stand up? Oh, you are standing up.
Yeah.
And then I'd do the whole gag. It was the same old dad jokes, of course, but it's a new audience, so they don't know. And I went, oh, yeah, John, look, I just heard from the security down at the front desk of the hotel that was speaking. Actually, it's always an hotel. I said, they just asked if you could move your rickshaw. It's in the no parking zone, And of course, guess what would happen to my microphone? He'd turn it off. So it was good payback, and then he would yell out from the back of the room, "I'm sorry, JD, I don't know what went wrong." Yeah, okay, right. But yeah, so I think if communications is the go, now whether it's Voxer, where's Voxer? Whoever's watching this now, I bet you Voxer makes $1 million, and nobody buys my holiday program. Why did I bring that up at the end of the interview? But yeah, Voxer is really good. But look, it's because these days, I mean, all of our suppliers, and I'm not speaking for you, but certainly our suppliers are in Melbourne and Sydney. I'm on the Gold Coast, but Melbourne and Sydney and Philippines, and we've got one in America. So just to be able to communicate regularly with a two-way radio is fantastic. Yeah. Two-way radio. But it really is. It's just a two-way radio. That's all it is.
Everything's in our pocket now with the phones. So that's awesome. It's been such a great honor and privilege to chat with you today. I've really, really enjoyed this today. And now, just before we wrap up, future goals for you. Where to from here for you?
Okay. Yeah, look, what I would love to do, and the people who joined me on that project keep on asking me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Is a newer version of the Dreams Can Come True show.
Nice.
And I can't help myself. If you've got a business called the Institute of Wow, you're never going to think of onesie-twosies and small numbers. You're going to think of that word, avalanche. Okay, so
yes,
I can't help myself. And Gail, I have to give my wife credit because she's been on the roller coaster when, in fact, I think she would have preferred to be on the merry-go-round. I'd love to do that again. I'd have to do it in a less expensive way. The TV show that we put together was an hour TV show, and as I mentioned before, it was cost we got 140,000 from the TV network, but it cost 170,000 to produce. And we conjured a lot of the stuff. There was airlines and there was hotels, and Disneyland came to the party, gave us tickets, and we had wonderful people. When we had to provide a home for someone who didn't have a home dealer came forward and gave us a home, would you believe? Toyota would give us cars. I mean, it was a big project. It was a very big project, but I had to pay back to the guy upstairs, so we just stuck with it and did it. If I was to do it again, I'd probably make it a cheaper version where it would be a studio show, whereby you would deliver dreams that might not be so massive. I mean, we had Princess Di pull out one of the dreams. I mean, Gail will tell you that she spilled a cup of tea because I was speaking to Buckingham Palace to get Princess Di to meet a little girl in Australia when she came out, because the little girl lost her leg through cancer, and the little girl's hero was Princess Di. And the little girl had a dream of just getting an autograph. Well, we got Princess Di to take her to lunch, would you believe?
Amazing.
And that was front page headlines in New York. It was just unbelievable. But it only happened because I annoyed the living shit out of Princess Di's secretary by ringing Buckingham Palace at 2:00 in the morning every day. So I'd sent her emails and stuff, but her name was Victoria Penzel or something. And she said, Mr. Dwyer, can I just say one thing to you? The princess will be in Australia next week, and I've told her all about this dream. And she said that she would do it for you. That's fine. But can I just make one comment to you, Mr. Dwyer? Yeah, okay. She said, you are very persistent. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. And you wouldn't believe it. As it turns out, our business at the time was called Silver Dreams Entertainment. That was the one that produced the TV show. We did a few other TV shows, but this one. And I said, we have a saying at Silver Dreams Entertainment. And she said, what's that? I said, never say die.
Oh,
and I didn't mean it to be sarcastic or clever or funny. I just said it. And all I heard at the other end of the line before it went beep, 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 beep was, oh, rather. And Gail, it was just 2:00 in the morning, go up to the lounge room and spilled the whole cup of tea. Never say die. And she said to me, you did not say that to Buckingham Palace.
Oh, beautiful Princess Di. Unfortunately, of course, she did die tragically. But wow, what an experience! What an amazing concept! I love that. And of course, check it out again. Go and check out JD's website. dreams can come true is on there. You can have a look. The instituteofwow.com. You can find all his details and /wow-tv-show, or go to Wow TV Show. You'll see that linked on the instituteofwow.com. And for those who want to connect with me, you'll find all my links at a linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, right here up on the screen. And thank you to everyone who has been watching live today. I know people have been hopping on, hopping off through this show. Really appreciate you. And we've had some people here. We'll just say a quick hello to Jeff Veal in Manila. Learning marketing in Manila, beautiful. We've got Wasim, not sure where you're at, Wasim, but I love this picture. That's great. Glad to know that you love that. We've got beautiful Colette Whelan. Hello, lovely, over near Jinjin. I know Colette there. Self-Worth Warriors out at Jinjin doing some amazing work out there. Any final thoughts for you, JD, before we wrap up this live stream and interview on Media Queen TV?
Yeah, look, I know this. The essence of, I guess, the theme of this has been direct response marketing, and so therefore you'd probably expect me to end with some sales pitch for direct response marketing. But given I know, the soul that this particular person has, the thing that I say to my kids, and I say to anyone, when they're doing things a bit tough, because we all do it from time to time, So Winston Churchill, when he was Prime Minister of England, went back to the school that he went to when he was a child. And a little kid put his hand up and said, Mr. Churchill, could you give us a tip on how we should proceed further in our lives? And he said something which apparently is very famous. I didn't realise that it was very famous. I think it's on Google everywhere. But he said, my advice to you is that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what obstacles you have, never, ever, 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 ever give up. And I have to say that, you live by that mantra. I certainly do. And it's just a nice way, I think, to probably, finish something like this. I mean, I'm a bit cheeky, so, got a bit of my sarcasm. But, underneath all of that, I have to say that I really admire people who just don't give up. I've got a few friends at the moment that are doing a bit tough, some financially and some health-wise. And I just tell them about Sir Winston Churchill's speech that he gave at that school that day, because I think it probably is the thing that we all should live by, because sometimes you get a bit lonely, don't you? And I mean, whoever thought that Robin Williams, the funniest guy in the world, would do what he did? You know, underneath that was a sad clown. So we never know what's going on behind the facade. Never, ever, ever.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thought and saying there. And I want to remind you watching this too now that you are 1 in a billion just by being born. You've beaten about 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line, the first race you ever won, and you are extraordinary and you're here for a reason. And thank you so much for tuning in today in Media Queen TV, and check out that amazing offer as well. Thank you so much, John, for that. Buy 30 holidays and get 3 for 1 deal at bestpromo.com.au. It's been fantastic chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time today. And if you've enjoyed this, let us know what you've enjoyed in the chat today. Share the love out to socials as well. And we look forward to seeing you again on Media Queen TV. And another quote I'll leave you with here is one by Gandhi. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Any other favourite quotes you'd like to share, or mottos that you live by?
Only McDonald's and we are the fresh food people. They're the only other ones I know. By the way, because we've gone back into being silly, one thing I should mention to you, that bestpromo.com.au, it is Australian dollars, but now that you've just highlighted, there's people around the world there.
Yes.
So if there is, and we sell this to all around the world, by the way. The program is available in Europe and available in America and UK. So if you are interested in that holiday program that we just spoke of, and you are international, then just simply go to the instituteofwow.com and you'll find our contact details there. Just email us and we can give it to you in your currency. Okay. Some people trade in animals, don't they now, like lambs? No, we don't do that. We're not accept any animals. No. I live on a rural property and I've just been telling the old one before we kicked off, we've been inundated with kangaroos lately. So therefore, no, we don't accept any more animals. We've got enough kangaroos.
I love it. So check out these amazing holiday destinations. I'll just zoom in close there. There we are. Perfect weather to be expected as well, all around the world. Awesome, awesome offer there. Thank you so much once again. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again on Media Queen TV. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. It looks like that. And we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye.